This newscast is brought to you by Qberg, Pittsburgh's source for LGBTQ plus news and community information. To learn more about Qberg, check out their website at qberg.com. That's QBURGH.com. From the Pep Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. 6 major book publishers have joined a coalition that includes authors, educators, students, parents, and a small Idaho library in a lawsuit challenging the state's anti-LGBTQ plus book banning law. Plaintiffs in the suit, including Penguin Random House, Simon & Schuster, and HarperCollins, along with the Authors Guild and the Donnelly Library, argue that the law's language is overly vague and it violates the First Amendment, according to the Associated Press. Idaho's Republican-led legislature passed House Bill 710 last year. The law requires libraries to shelve books featuring content that is, quote, harmful to minors, including children's books with LGBTQ plus themes in separate adults-only sections. However, as the Authors Guild noted in a February 4th press release, HB 710's language around what is harmful to minors does not adequately incorporate the Miller test, the 1973 criteria established by the U.S. Supreme Court to determine whether materials should be considered obscene. The law's definition of sexual conduct also includes acts of homosexuality, but does not specify further, leading to concerns that books may be restricted simply for including LGBTQ plus characters. Libraries that violate the law face a mandatory $250 fine, and the law allows patrons to sue libraries with no cap on damages. Critics say that the law will lead to cash-strapped libraries shutting down if they cannot afford potentially costly legal battles. As the Associated Press also notes, the Idaho Library Associate has also warned that the law will force libraries to limit access to books and other resources. Smaller libraries, like the one in Donnelly, Idaho, with no space for an adults-only section, have already begun requiring patrons to present a photo ID proving that they are over 18 just to enter the building. In the group's press release, Authors Guild CEO Mary Rosenberger described House Bill 710 as an unacceptable assault on intellectual freedom in America. By allowing vigilantes to ban books and explicitly target LGBTQIA plus content, this law doesn't just chill free speech, it freezes it solid. Rosenberger said, "We will not stand by while Idaho effectively criminalizes important works of literature and diminishes the fundamental right of young people to read and learn. It is important to the future of our country that all American students have the opportunity to read literature and learn to think for themselves." This is not the first lawsuit challenging the Idaho law. Within weeks of its enactment, 2 Idaho private schools, a privately funded public library, and a group of parents and students sued the state, arguing House Bill 710 infringes on their rights to free speech and due process under the First and 14th Amendments. The case is ongoing. In other news, President Donald Trump is ready to take his fight against transgender athletes to the International Olympic Committee. Trump said Wednesday during a signing ceremony for an executive order aimed at banning transgender athletes from women's sports that his administration wants the IOC to change everything having to do with the Olympics and having to do with this absolutely ridiculous subject ahead of these 2028 Summer Games in Los Angeles. The order empowers the Secretary of State's office to pressure the IOC to amend standards governing Olympic sporting events to promote fairness, safety, and the best interests of female athletes by ensuring that eligibility for participation in women's sporting events is determined according to sex and not gender identity or testosterone reduction. The order also calls for the Secretary of State and the Department of Homeland Security to review and adjust as needed policies permitting admission to the United States of males seeking to participate in women's sports. The IOC has allowed transgender athletes to participate at the Olympics since 2004. However, it wasn't until 2021 that the first openly transgender athletes competed under the rings. Be sure to download the Live 365 app to take Pep Radio with you wherever you go. If you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button. That's the news at this hour. Now back to more music on Pep Radio.